Hello, welcome back to my channels, watchers of the TV show The Undoing on HBO. We're having a good time over here. If you're not leaving comments, you're missing out. The comment section is kind of, let me put my foot down. The comment section is kind of popping off lately. People are putting theories. Maybe I'll go over theories. I think I'll go over theories maybe in another video, but not right now. We're just gonna do like a quick, cute recap of what happened this week. The show, like I said, like if you don't want spoilers, I think this whole video is basically about to be a spoiler video. So just go back to the first one and then watch halfway through that to see my recommendation. I recommend watching it. We're having fun watching it and coming up with theories and like I said, chime in the comments. Tell me what you think about stuff going on. Oh gosh. Speaking of what's going on, so episode 3, we open up at the end of episode 2 where she's like going full Karen mode. Oh, someone come get him. I'm so scared. She was going. Anyway, so she was going full, scared woman mode. Calling the police. They come, they get him, etc. And so they start like interrogating her, like the whole time with her, their energy is kind of funky. Now, we all think that it's because they think she knows something, but I will get to that at the very end. We'll talk about the end. Let's go in chronological order. Okay. So the cops are talking to her some more, and they confirm that the baby is his and he has a daughter. I can't. I can't. That means that their affair went on for a long time. Because that baby, that's over a year. That's over a year. So she had to get pregnant, be pregnant for 9 months, and then give birth. That baby is like 1 or 2 months old at this point. Over a year at least, he was playing around on Nicole Kidman. Just jail. Jail time for that. Jail time for that. Just alone, And then I wrote down in my notes, no one is paying attention to Henry, LOL. Because Henry kind of goes ham a little bit in this episode. He's like, Mom, and, and he's like watching the murder trial on his iPad at breakfast. I'm like, are people seeing this? Like, why does he still have his iPad? Why isn't the child lock on it? Like, come on, guys, come on. If my husband possibly committed murder, I would be like, hey, you know what? Maybe let's put child lock on his iPad. Maybe let's limit the internet a little bit. Maybe let's just not do that. But anyway, they're just not monitoring Henry. And I'm like, poor Henry throughout all of this. He has a very emotional scene where he goes to see his dad in jail. We will get to that. Like I said, ABC order. Chronological order. Whatever. The next thing is Lily Rabe. Now, Lily Rabe plays, I think she's some sort of corporate lawyer. And she's friends with Grace, of course. And I still don't know her name. I keep calling her Lily Rabe. I don't know what her character name is on the show. Because every time I see her, I'm like, Lily Rabe. Anyway, Lily Rabe was like, you need to get yourself your own lawyer. They're going to come at you. They're going to try to leverage stuff against you. You need to get your own defense. And like, she told her the name of a defense attorney. Now, do you think Grace takes that advice? Grace is being pulled in a lot of different directions in this episode, and that's fair. So Lily Rabe was like, I think he might be guilty. You need to get a defense lawyer to protect you and Henry, la la la. Her father is like, I think he's guilty as well. And her father, oh my gosh. Her father thinks that he's guilty because he secretly came to him to ask for money. Now, when you borrow money from your parents, how much do you usually get? 20 bucks, 50 bucks, 100? Like, maybe you're young, you're in your early 20s and they cover your rent 1 month and that's like $600. Like, if your parents are in the position to help you, that's what they help you with. This man went to his father-in-law and asked for $500,000. And the father-in-law gave it to him. Imagine. it a secret from Grace because, you know, she's so proud. She doesn't want to take anything. I'm like, 500, if my dad had $500,000 to give away, good for Grace. Good for Grace because she's better than me. I'd be, I would milk that cow. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe we don't know until we get into that situation, right? But it's just like, how could you give your son-in-law $500,000 and keep it a secret from Grace? That's crazy to me. I wouldn't even sign that check. If this was my like son-in-law and I had that type of money to give away, I wouldn't even play that game. I'd be like, y'all need to get on the same page with your finances. Let me and my accountant look it over first because we ain't just writing 500,000 checks around here. So that's what doesn't make sense. The fact that you would even participate in this sneaky, that doesn't make any sense, okay? I just don't believe it. And then I'm just like, if he had $500,000, where is it? Like, I know their lifestyle is expensive, but like, what were you doing? So he wasn't working for what, like 3 months? Do you need $500,000 for 3 months? Like, he should have still had some left over to pay for his own defense lawyer. But anyway, speaking of his defense lawyer, let's talk about his pro bono lawyer for a sec. See, I said I was going in chronological order, but I lied. I told a bold-faced lie. You just have to let me go. So we get to a lawyer scene, and we get a kind of. It's okay for me to say she's sassy. It's okay for me to say that. She's just like a sassy judge, like, my courtroom won't become a circus. And I'm just like, that's the most cliche thing. Like, this show is so cliched. Like, here's the judge is like, don't turn my courtroom into a circus. I'm only letting the cameras in one time. It's like, okay, we get it. But like, you're a serious sassy judge. We get a brief glimpse of the DA. And then let's talk. He gets charged. First of all, it's murder and rape charges. And I know that they found his DNA because he's trifling and stupid and disgusting, and he had sex with her and then went home and had sex with his wife. I know that. I know that his DNA is there. But do you think, like, that's like the core question throughout all this. Do we think that, like, he did it? Like, is he guilty? Like, was it rape or was it consensual sex? Was it murder? Like, I don't know. Did he murder her? I don't know. But this is funny. His defense lawyer is the Badger, and he's a jerk. He's an asshole. Like, first of all, his defense attorney is a jerk, and then he calls him an asshole. And I'm like, that's so interesting because, first of all, I like to say it. Who said it first? I said he was an asshole from the first scene on the episode 1. I said, you're rich. Okay, like, you're complaining about rich people shit. You're complaining, oh, I have to go to a benefit dinner. Wah. Like, shut up. Like, if you don't want to go to the school to see your ex-mistress, then come up with a better excuse. Be proactive. Don't do this like, oh, I'm just going to be an asshole and try not to go. Like, no, you're stupid. Anyway, I said he was an asshole first. And then he says, this is the part that got me. He said, I prefer guilty clients because it's less pressure. And then he says, all doctors are assholes. I'm like, I don't know about that. I know doctors have some flaws. I know that doctors have some flaws, like any group of people. But I don't know about this whole, you're allowed to be an asshole because you're a doctor. Well, you're not. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Then moving right along. So then the defense attorney has a conversation with Grace. And he says this, which I think is a cute little turn of phrase that he coins here. He says, you have PTB, which is post-traumatic betrayal syndrome. I'm like, please stop. Please with the pseudoscience. Please with the pseudopsychology. I can't. But it's an interesting, like I said, it's a cute little term because I think it makes a lot of sense. What he's saying is, after someone betrays you, you suddenly think they're capable of anything because they told you a lie. But before that, do you think that he was capable of murder? Like, this is where I'm like, I can't really gauge what Grace is thinking. I can't really gauge if she has the idea. Like, I don't know how much, like, awareness, like self-awareness, or even awareness of her husband she has. Like, he was cheating on her for over a year. She never picked up on it. He was fired and like lying and pretending to go out to work and wasn't, and she never picked up on it. I don't know like how self-aware or aware of her situation she is. She's seeming to have her own secrets coming out. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm like, is she aware of his flaws? Because, you know, what, like, I know people around me have personality flaws, but I'm like, are they capable of murder? I don't know. But if someone asked me that, I would be able to like answer and describe why I think that this is a flawed person. But like I can say like this Susie Q is selfish and she's condescending, but I don't think that Susie Q would commit murder. She just doesn't have the stomach for it. I have experience with her. She's not a violent person, etc., and so on. She doesn't have a temper, blah, blah, blah. But she doesn't really extrapolate that much. Like, she doesn't really, you know, she's a therapist, and she really does not analyze her own husband. So like, she's like in deep denial. Like, she should have felt something going wrong at some point, unless he was like a psychopath, and let's get to that. So, speaking of doctors being assholes, the doctor, his former colleague, said this to say, he's a psychopath. He has a God complex. He didn't care about saving patients. He cared about all of the emotions coming towards him and praising him. I was like, okay, that's something. That's an interesting like point of view, because like no one is like, the defense lawyer is like, okay, you're kind of an asshole. But everyone, remember at the benefit when everyone is around him, they're like, oh, he's like saving lives. Oh my gosh, he's such a good guy. La la la. You know, like, it's interesting to me how people from within his little circle speak about him and view him. And even his own wife, who's an intelligent woman, is in denial. And versus everyone else around him is like, no, you're a jerk. Shut up. Like, including me. Okay, and then speaking of people around him, now he's in prison. He gets into a prison fight. Does he fight and duke it out like a normal person? No. And see, this is like, is he a psychopath? Is he? I don't know. Because it's like, he gets into a prison fight and he bit the guy. He was biting down like, I'm going to bite that finger off, girl. You better back up. Now, I'm trying to gauge the situation. I've never been to prison, okay? I've never visited someone in prison. Oh, there was an emotional scene where Henry and they go visit him in jail. And this is, I'm not going to jump back and forth. I'm going to focus on the fight. If you're in prison, there's this cliche thing that people say in the prison. In prison, they say your first day in prison, beat the shit out of somebody. Like, they say, that's what they say, literally. They say if they're your first day, week in prison, you have to get in a fight and you have to fuck somebody up. And then you're good. You're set. You're set for life. He went at that man like he's like, I'm going to be in here for a long time. So let me set the stage now. I don't know how to feel about that. Is that supposed to characterize him as tough, or characterize him as like, is he a killer? Like, is he a psychopath? I don't know. He says that he isn't. I'm getting tired of this narrative that they're placing on Elena. I'm getting really sick of the narrative that they're placing on Elena. It's starting to bother me now, okay? I remember I said a little bit of something here and there about it, but I'm starting to get bothered. We should all be bothered and uncomfortable with victim blaming from jump. Let's just start there. We should all be uncomfortable with victim blaming. So, like, let's just start with this whole idea that she was the psycho and she was the. How about, you know, let's say that she was threatening to tell. Let's say that he was paying for her son to go to the school. All these things, blah, blah, blah. Now, why didn't you just be honest at some point? You lied and you lied and you lied and you lied. So now you're trying to pull on our former relationship to be like, believe me, I'm telling the truth. But you lied. You told so many lies. Like, it's just too much. I just can't believe. And Grace is starting to go along with him and his bullshit. She's like, it's called hero worship and rescue romance syndrome. Grace. What is wrong with you? You're like, I understand, like, you're trying to see both sides, and she's trying to suss out, like, this is the love of my life, this is the father of my child, this is my husband. Like, I have to explore every avenue. But she, like, is, it just seems like she's not being objective. It seems like she's kind of falling for things, and that's where I get worried. Then, let's talk about that ending, sis. That ending with that video clip, okay? I don't know how to feel about it. Like, comment down below. Tell me what you felt about it. Are they trying to pull, is this the twist? And here we go. Is this the twist? Is this the twist? That she's an unreliable narrator, she's an unreliable perspective, and that the whole time this show is making you feel like you've seen everything happening, but we haven't seen. There's things off camera that we don't know. I don't know. All I know for sure, this, like Oprah, what I know for sure is that I was not expecting that. Not only that, we were literally in the comments last time talking about how we are such a big fan of Nicole Kidman. We don't want it to be. We don't want it to be true that she did it. We're biased. I'm biased, and one of my commenters is biased. I have to go look at it. But yeah, I don't want it to be Nicole. No. Well, it will be interesting to see when did she because she's doing such a good job of. No, it can't be. It can't be her. And this is why it can't be her. Because that means that she's a psychopath. Is it a psychopath or a sociopath? She's been crying everywhere, pretending like she has no idea what's going on in public, in private, in front of her son, in front of her father, in front of her friends, in front of the headmaster. I would have cussed that headmaster out. Like, I'm still mad about that whole don't come pick up your kid thing. My son goes to school here. I have rights. Just hitting my breast. But anyway, just tell me what you think. This show is a little cliche, but it's also a little bit of a trip, and it's a little interesting. And let's get it popping in the comments.